When Meghan Markle announced her lifestyle brand as ever, the internet predictably exploded. Some people rolled their eyes, a few got excited, and some even said, hey, this might actually work. And to be fair, it could have. The idea of a celebrity lifestyle brand isn't new. We've seen it with Selena Gomez. She's crushed it with Rare Beauty. Hailey Bieber, who built Rhode into a skincare staple and has just sold it in the last few months for $1 billion. And even the world of celebrity tequila, from George Clooney, for example, or candles and home goods, has created real consumer favorites. So the idea itself wasn't the problem. In fact, I said at the time in an earlier video that Meghan's business had potential if she could separate herself from the brand. But in my opinion, that hasn't happened. From the name, to the packaging, to the promotional strategy or lack of one, to be honest, this has been less about building a product people want and more about reinforcing Meghan's personal mythology.
They understand that this is my vision.
Mm-hmm.
It's my vision, and also the success of the brand, I believe, is rooted in the fact that you can feel when I am involved in something.
And now, as the reviews come in and the buzz wears off, it's clear to me we are watching the slow motion failure of a business that was doomed from the start. And not because of the haters.
That I wasn't just being thrown to the wolves, I was being fed to the wolves.
Not because of the royal family.
It was terrifying to have my brother scream and shout at me and my father say things that just simply weren't true, and my grandmother, quietly sit there and sort of take it all in.
And not because of the media. I know they are the three scapegoats Harry and Meghan love to use.
Oh, the British press said that. Right.
But it's because Meghan Markle didn't understand one very simple rule of branding, something that we probably all understand because of the high level of media literacy these days. And it's this: when you make the brand all about you, the public stops seeing a product and starts seeing your flaws.
What's going to set this brand apart? Because you're in a very, very different time right now. It's a different culture. I think consumers are super, super wise. So, I want to ask you those two things. How do you feel about it?
It was really important to me. I remember where I come from, right? So I knew that I wanted things to be reflected in the same way that I put an outfit together for years, high-low. I knew I wanted this brand to be masstige. And to come out of the gate with something luxury didn't make sense to me.
Meghan Markle takes a big gamble, launching a new luxury lifestyle brand.
So the price point itself, with nearly everything being under $20, was key. I think that's a differentiator. Never sacrificing on quality.
We're in the midst of a royal jam war. Meghan's father-in-law, King Charles, has been quietly running his own jam business for the past 15 years. So how do his fruit preserves stand up against Meghan's raspberry spread? The staff at dailymail.com in New York tried Meghan's spread. What did everyone think?
The general consensus was it was quite runny. People also found the flavor quite tart in comparison to other jams.
I had to taste them both for myself. First up, King Charles's fruit preserves.
Yeah, this is very good.
Then Meghan's raspberry spread.
It's very tart. And no, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan, sorry.
People who weren't really following the Meghan and Harry saga, who have recently started looking into it through her business, well, from what I see, they've come across more problems than peaks. And it seems to be because of their own actions. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through exactly why, as ever, was always on shaky ground, according to me. I'll break down what makes a celebrity brand actually work, why Meghan's approach was flawed from day one, what's happening right now with the brand, and why I still believe, as I said it before it even launched, that this venture was destined to fall apart. Because in my view, this was never about jam or spread. It was about image rehabilitation. So what makes a celebrity brand successful? Well, the celebrity world has produced some impressively successful business ventures. We have Rihanna with Fenty Beauty, Selena Gomez, Rare Beauty, George Clooney, he has Casamigos Tequila, and Hailey Bieber, which I mentioned before, with Rhode. These brands work because of smart brand building, not just name recognition. They have succeeded because, according to reviews, the product is actually good. It can stand on its own. The celebrity is involved, but not overbearing. For example, I had heard some of these products before, but I didn't know the celebrity behind them. There's also distance between the persona and the product. And also the pricing and practicality makes sense. And I'm mentioning that because, well, you'll see later about the pricing. If the celebrity walks away, this is the key. The brand survives. Look at Rhode Beauty. She's just sold it and it will still be successful. That's the gold standard. And I believe Meghan hasn't met that yet. So what's going wrong with As Ever? Well, Meghan didn't create a brand. She, at least from my point of view, has created a personal shrine. The name As Ever is her sign-off. The jars are wrapped in twine and handwriting, or at least the original jars that she promoted. And the promo images are just essentially dripping with aesthetic. Like I said, it's visual, but it's kind of empty behind it. There is no distance between the woman and the brand, and that's the key. That's what I want us to walk away understanding why, for me, this product or this company, this business is going to be a failure, because there is no distance. And when a public figure is polarizing, like Meghan is, that closeness doesn't build trust at all. In fact, it builds resistance. Even the product itself, the spread, it feels more like a vanity gift to me than a commercial item. And the reviews are mixed, more negative than positive. The pricing is ludicrously high, in my opinion. And the value, from what I've seen in reviews, simply doesn't match what you could buy at a local farmer's market for half the cost. And it's less about creating something new and more about selling a vibe, from what I can see. And it's the same thing with Meghan. She produces something that aesthetically is pleasing, but there's nothing behind it. There's no real substance. It's empty, it's hollow. And it's a vibe that, frankly, many people aren't buying because they can sense that. And if the brand fails, and it appears to be struggling already, it won't be because simply the product was bad. It will be because the consumer didn't want to be part of Meghan's personal reinvention campaign. And that's what it feels like. It feels like Meghan has created this brand not out of love or passion, but to shake off the negative perspective people have of her because of her own actions, words, and behaviour.
And Meghan was supposed to be lecturing young people about equality, which is her favourite subject from her Californian mansion. But instead, she stuck to her specialist subject, the one she currently really loves, which is talking about herself.
I'm so grateful to be in your company today. I was first invited to be a counselor at One Young World. I was probably a lot like each of you. How am I here? And there I was the girl from Suits. And I was surrounded by world leaders. I was so overwhelmed by this experience. I think I even saved my little paper place card, proof that I was there, I belonged. I was so nervous. Oh, I doubted myself, and I wondered if I was good enough to even be there, what I was doing in the world, albeit important and meaningful as far as I saw it, was it deserving? One Young World saw in me, just as I see in you. My life had changed rather significantly, and I was now a mom. And I would ask, what is this world he would come to adopt? And what can we do? What can I do to make it better?
I don't know. What could you do to make it better? You're just so special. And how did you get to sit at the top table with all the world leaders, Meghan? Oh, could it be because you married a British prince and then dragged him out of his country off to your California mansion to fleece your royal titles? Anyway, 54 times she mentioned herself in a 7-minute speech. Even I haven't done that in a speech. That gives you some idea of the scale of the Netflix narcissist. My question really is, how can they be allowed to do this? To run around like a rival royal family, including in this country, a country they've been trashing, with a monarchy they've been trashing, with a royal family they've been trashing.
And she has a pattern of that, right? Suing. I mean, we all get bad press. Anybody who's in the public eye is going to get negative, nasty press. For me, I move past it. I'm quick to forgive. It's our business. You can't be a public figure and not be able to take some barbs and arrows and just move on. You know, like, my God, be a grown up. But the more she talks, the more I'm like, oh, now I get it. Like, Mariah Carey, who Meghan is calling a diva, turns to her and says, you've had diva moments too. And she's so wounded that she later says she began sweating and realized her girl crush might be over and was only able to move past it once Mariah clarified that she meant it as a compliment and was speaking about Meghan's looks. I threw up a little in my mouth.
But it's not that simple. A pretty Instagram does not make for a reinvention. In the case of As Ever, Meghan Markle isn't just the founder, female founder.
Female founder.
She is the brand. And that's exactly the problem. Meghan is a polarizing figure. She was even introduced in the Aspire podcast as a polarizing figure, a divisive figure.
Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, controversial, celebrated, and undeniably motivated.
I mean, that's not a good thing when the podcast host introduces you like that, especially when your brand is compassion, spreading compassion all around the world.
She is determined to continue her work building compassion around the world.
Whether you love her or not, she carries significant baggage. I mean, that's just objectively true. And that baggage is being passed directly to the consumer. This is a huge problem for Meghan. There's too much Meghan, not enough brand. Instagram is all Meghan's aesthetic. Launch visuals are Meghan's vibe, and the product is positioned as high-end just based on Meghan's name, not performance, nor on flavour, nor on taste, nor on physical consistency of the actual product. So there is no clear value proposition beyond just, trust me, I'm Meghan. That's what the message is screaming. And the brand is effectively unscalable. And it's funny because that's one of her goals, to scale her business.
And then the extension of, as I continue to invest in them, investing in myself with the business of As Ever, scaling that to growth, and then there'll be more surprises. Can't wait.
It cannot be sold, it cannot evolve, and it certainly can't win over skeptics with the way it seems to be going right now. Look, if we are to have learned anything over the past few years with this plethora of celebrity brands, it's that successful brands aren't actually about worship. People buy into community, mission and values. They do. They genuinely do. They don't buy into celebrity idols, not like in the past. For example, Selena Gomez, at least the people that I know who use her product, they are kind of younger. I mean, I'm not saying older people can't use them. I don't use them. But the people that I know tend to be kind of, honestly, younger girls in their 20s. They love her messaging. She puts mental health first, and it's about embracing your flaws, etc. Hailey Bieber, she leans into the accessible skincare, and she's results driven. She promises dewy skin, and apparently, from what I hear, when you put the product on your skin, that's what you get. Their names are on the door, of course, but the brands are not shrines. They actually deliver results and messaging that the consumer connects with As Ever. Everything feels like a PR rehab vehicle to me, not a lifestyle brand. I mean, is it organic? Is it wellness? To be honest, I would say no. From what I've heard and read, I don't think these are organic products. They're not homemade, they're mass produced. And wellness? Well, I don't even know if the ingredients, you could put them under wellness. I believe they even use cane sugar or something like that, although I have to double check. So what is it? What is the unique selling point? Apart from Meghan Markle herself, it seems to be Meghan Markle herself, and that's not a good thing. And the more Meghan tries to control the narrative through a jar of jam or a basket of lemons or whatever it is she's posting on her Instagram, the more transparent the effort becomes. Because this isn't a brand crafted for others. I don't think she has the consumer in mind. I think it's a brand. I think it's a brand that's built to reshape her story, to overwrite the headlines, to sidestep the controversies, to soften the edges of a very, very, very public fall from grace.
And listen, I want to say this to you in the best way, because I wonder if you could rewrite your public narrative from scratch. Is there anything that you would do differently?
yes, I would ask people to tell the truth.
But the truth is, there is no amount of jam or spread or tea that can rehabilitate an image that is so toxic. And toxic because of the person's own actions. I mean, public actions against her own family and her husband's family.
20 minutes of nonstop news continues with royal revelations. It is the talker of the day. Shocking allegations in an explosive interview with Prince Harry and his wife Meghan. In an interview with Oprah, the couple describes painful palace discussions about the color of their son's skin. The couple says mounting pressure, both public and private, along with being cut off financially and lack of support and empathy, drove them to leave the royal family.
Things that are going to be on the internet forever. The Oprah interview, Harry and Meghan Netflix series.
Meghan was advised not to invite her niece Ashley.
How do we explain that this half-sister isn't invited to the wedding, but that the half-sister's daughter is?
That lasts forever, and the public will never forget how they treated the Queen before she passed away.
We know that Harry had fallen out with his brother. That kind of happens in siblings. There's a bit of a rivalry going on there. Or that Meghan didn't get on with Catherine. There was a bit of a difference in culture. There was a difference in the way they kind of lived their lives, etc. And we kind of see, okay, they fell out. But falling out with Queen Elizabeth II, I mean, that's pretty bad for Meghan.
I mean,
she was tough as old boots, the Queen. She's sat down, had dinners with dictators. She spoke to all sorts of people, had all sorts of undesirables, that she's had to sit down and engage with. It takes a lot to upset her. Why would she have been so upset about Meghan's approach, do you think?
She's very, very tough, very pragmatic, but I think deep down she was, she was a grandmother and, she was very, very fond of Harry. I mean, I think they were extremely close and probably the two most popular royals that we had at the time. I just think that she worked her whole life, trying to make sure that the monarchy succeeded after her and the legacy was the most important thing to her, and the Commonwealth, of course, as well. And it must have been absolutely heartbreaking for her to see what was happening with Harry and Meghan leaving in her final years, and to cope with that as she was, approaching the end and Prince Philip died and all this, happened right at the end of her life, I think must have been absolutely heartbreaking for her. And I think, sadly, that is probably the thing that people won't forgive Harry and Meghan for, making her last years a bit of a misery.
It's unsalvageable at this point. And like I said, this brand will not save Meghan's image. It's only proving what people have been saying already, especially the naysayers. So she's not doing herself any favours, in my opinion. And carrying on just with that, I want to comment on that things become even more revealing when we look at it from this point of view. The brand, it doesn't feel like something Meghan had to build. And I'll explain why. It feels like something she decided to build because she needed a new title. She needed a new lens in which to sell herself or be referred to. She didn't want to be known as the woman who married into royalty and left chaos in her wake. I think she wanted to be seen as a successful entrepreneur, a tastemaker, a visionary, a female founder. But the timeline doesn't match, because what happened was this. Meghan, for worse, I would argue, went on this PR trail where she did interviews with Time 100 Summit. She also did the Aspire podcast. And the reason I'm bringing them up is, in her own words, which I will put in here, she said that she didn't actually have the idea. The idea, A, didn't come from her. And B, she was looking and thinking, what could she share with the world, right? And so that would suggest to me that it wasn't born from passion. It wasn't like, oh, I do this and I love it and I just need to share it with the world. It was, well, this is how it sounds to me. I've signed this major deal with Netflix and we need to produce content, and I also need to make money to pay back, to make this deal worthwhile for them. Well, yeah, we have to come up with something. And so the producer, or one of the producers who's also a close friend, according to Time 100, they were in Meghan's kitchen, and she said, there's an idea here.
Make things in my kitchen, do small flower arrangements, make a lot of jam. And when I was sending those as gifts, one day Bella said, there's a show here. And I hadn't at the onset thought that was something that I wanted to to share in that way.
So that's one of the versions. And then in the Aspire podcast, Meghan said that it was just one day after New Year's. Her friends all rang her the same day and said, "Your jam makes me so happy."
So take me back to the beginnings of As Ever, because I'm guessing that, like so many founders, you've been trying to get this business off the ground for a while. It's finally launched and to much fanfare.
Oh, goodness.
So
Yeah.
I'd love to know, I want to understand, like, how did it start?
I knew that I wanted to put something in the world. And for years, I mean, we've been out here for 5 years now, really trying to decipher what do I want to share? What do I authentically, organically want to share, and how to translate that? And, you know, truth be told, I had just been making a lot of jams and preserves at home and sharing them as holiday gifts with a lot of friends. And it was one morning, beginning of the new year, so many friends at the same time had texted saying, "I don't know what it is, but your jams just make me so happy." And I thought, maybe that's the thing.
So either way, regardless of the narrative you go with, it didn't actually come from Meghan herself. I would argue it wasn't a passion project. It was a deliberate attempt to think of something that they could monetize and market and try and change the narrative of her reputation. That's what I believe. I mean, when you think about it, Meghan admitted she was actively looking for ideas, exploring what she wanted to create, and like I said, share with the world. That's not inspiration. That is in itself brand strategy. And like I just said, it's the fact that she even revealed that the concept for the brand didn't even originate with her is crazy that she would have said that. If I were her, I would have just been like, I have loved cooking for years. I always wanted to share this. It took me a while to get it off the ground, but now I'm ready. I wouldn't have said two different narratives of the same story. It just, because it doesn't ring true. Once again, we're getting these different versions, and it just, people already question what she says. So it's not the story of someone chasing a dream. It's not trying to build a commercial identity that's true or that rings true to the listener. It's someone trying to build a commercial identity to seemingly to distance herself from her past. And the result is a brand that doesn't feel like it was built from purpose. It feels like it was built from pressure, from the need to reinvent, to distract, to scrub the old narrative and install a new one that says, look, I'm not just Meghan Markle. I'm Meghan Sussex now.
So my favorite moment, and I do think the most telling, it was in the Mindy episode, and it was the moment where Mindy is playing along with Meghan's oft-told, much-debunked origin story, that she was this poor little latchkey kid in the slums of Los Angeles, coming home from school every day, eating her sad little fast food on a tray table.
Right.
While she's watching Jeopardy, mind you. So she may be watching TV, but she's watching Jeopardy.
She's smart.
She's smart.
So in case you didn't know.
And she's not writing, feminist manifestos to soap companies. That's part of a class project, not an auto-generated thing.
She does mention later.
We never forget.
Yeah.
Never forget.
Mm-mm.
So we're not walking through landmines here, like Diana.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Mindy says to her, I just don't think that anybody really realizes Meghan Markle ate Jack in the Box. And you watch Meghan tense up, right up, and the micro expressions and the jaw sets and the eyes go black. And her shoulders rise up and she goes, it's so funny. And she's like chopping something. So it's like dangerous. It's so funny you say that. So funny you say that because I'm Sussex now.
I'm Sussex.
Oh my God. It was like a soap opera moment.
We have it. Let's watch it.
I don't think anyone in the world knows that Meghan Markle has eaten Jack in the Box and loves it.
It's so funny, too, that you keep saying Meghan Markle. I'm Sussex now.
Very weird.
Oh, and what follows that is she goes, our little family name.
Right.
Yet another dig at the royals that gave her that title.
Did you notice that at the end of every episode, it says, like, the starring, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex?
Yes.
That's how she's billed.
I'm Duchess of Drama. No, I'm joking. But she wanted to say, I'm Meghan Markle, lifestyle founder, female founder, creative director, visionary, CEO. And you can tell that from the language that was used in, for example, the Time 100 Summit. Even the horrible interviewer, oh my God. Meghan, you're a CEO. There's a lot of glamour, but there's also a lot of grit.
You're CEO. There's a lot of glam, but we know there's a lot of grit and grind. How do you care for yourself?
Oh, thank you for asking that.
Like, it was she was the worst interviewer, but even the language she was using was also so empty. Both of them. It was just it was like watching two empty vessels have a conversation about nothing. Honestly. And it was 20 something minutes of my life that I'll never get back. But like I said, audiences see through that. And when you build a business for yourself rather than your customer, and it doesn't matter how expensive the glass jar is, people won't buy it, literally or figuratively. And the fact that it's sold out doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Without figures, without numbers, it doesn't mean anything. My cat is coming to join us. Let's look at what we've seen so far. Okay, there was no full product launch, or at least there were some hiccups with the product launch, I should say, where people received emails after purchasing and making the purchase and getting a confirmation of that purchase only days later to receive an email saying that they wouldn't be receiving a product, but they would receive a refund.
Tell me about As Ever being forced to issue refunds. What's that about, Kinsey?
Yeah, some fans who managed to snag Meghan's apricot spread are now being told their orders can't be fulfilled. The company says demand was higher than expected, and they're going to have to issue refunds. In an email to customers, they wrote, "Due to high demand, we are unable to fulfill your order of the apricot spread at this time. We are refunding your purchase by the end of this week." Meghan's also promising them a free jar. But like, Rita, there's a severe difference between hype or exclusivity and operational and logistical failure. And Meghan Markle is the latter.
Well, we can restock what we had at those same quantities, but then I'll have another sellout. And I don't want that for people. I think scarcity is great if it happens organically at the onset, but at a certain point, even being consumer-minded, I would be fatigued if that kept happening and I was going to a website.
There was problems with the pricing. Everyone's saying that it's overpriced, and I agree. The Instagram also, the account is aesthetic, it's not informative. And also, I want to point out that Meghan originally launched, she didn't sell it, but she soft launched her first product, which was homemade jars of jam that she sent to celebrities. And it was in April 2024. She sent them to Chrissy Teigen, Kris Jenner, etc. And she placed the jam jar, which is a strawberry jam, in a basket of lemons. Now, what is wrong with that? Well, normally, common sense would tell you, you would place whatever the product is in a basket of the ingredients that went into that product, or the main ingredient. And in this case, it would be strawberries. So even with the presentation, there was things that just simply didn't make sense. Like I said, the jam drops were limited to influencers and friends. And even then, well, response was muted. Not all of them posted about it. And people don't actually understand now that it's gone public for the public to buy, they don't understand what As Ever actually sells. I mean, the products, yes, but what's the idea? What's the purpose? What's the future roadmap? And compare that to Rhode Beauty, which launched with clarity, simple skincare, minimalist, and a founder who let the product do the talking. That's what Rhode Beauty was. With As Ever, the product hasn't said a word, and Meghan has said everything for it. And what she has said through curated images, vague promises, influencer drops, feels more like a brand narrative written in crisis mode than a celebration of passion or quality or innovation. Here's the brutal truth. If Meghan wanted to sell this brand in the future, I believe she couldn't. And if Meghan wanted this brand to thrive on its own, I believe it wouldn't. Because As Ever isn't a standalone business. It's an extension of a persona. When Meghan takes a hit in the media, so does the brand. When Meghan's credibility is questioned, so is the product. There is no buffer, no protective layer, no structure. It lives and dies on public perception of Meghan herself. And that is never how you build a sustainable business. Especially not one that you claim is about home, beauty, nourishment. Because if the public feels manipulated, if they sense the product is just the bait for an image rehab campaign, they will walk away. And increasingly, it seems like they are. So what is actually happening? Well, from what I can see, the buzz around the brand has faded fast. Reviews for the products have been mixed to poor. Critics pointed out you could buy similar goods locally for cheaper, which is true. And there's no sign of a product expansion that was promised, no marketing rollout, no launch dates. There was confusion between, I'm not going to launch any more products until 2026. And then she came out with Rosé, but the Rosé came out too late, in my opinion. That should have been brought about maybe April, May. Just at the end of spring, getting ready for summer. People drink rosé in summer. It's a nice summer drink. That should have been ready to go, not in July or the end of June, whatever it was. Even Meghan's friends who posted about it did so with generic captions. There's no brand loyalty. It's like favor repayment. And the media has mostly gone silent. So that tells you everything. There is not the energy of a growing brand. There's just this energy of a project that was meant to say something about her. And it didn't land. From the beginning, I said this brand would fail. I said this brand would fail if Meghan didn't separate herself from it. And she didn't. She seemed to have doubled down. So this isn't a lifestyle brand, or at least it's not a lifestyle I think many people want. It's a PR strategy, and it's dressed up in twine and florals. People don't want to buy into Meghan's identity. I mean, she's one of the most polarizing figures of our generation, of our time. They want to buy into a story they can see themselves in. But as ever, it was never about the customer, I believe. I think it was always about her. Oh my God. I think it was always about her. And Bacco agrees. And that's exactly why it's failing. Isn't that right, Bacco? Now he's quiet. Now he doesn't want to say anything. Okay, we'll try and get through the conclusion without my cat interrupting, but I can't promise. So the question is, could As Ever be salvaged? The answer is maybe, but, and it's a huge caveat here, only if Meghan steps back. Bacco! Okay, I would believe if she reduced the price, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop recording and come back to this. Bacco, please. If she dropped the price, if she let the product speak for itself, but she would definitely need to drop the price. From what I've heard, it's just not worth the money. She would need to probably bring in brand managers. Maybe she has one, but I don't know if they're very good or if she's letting them do their job. But I would advise bring in a brand manager. And if she stops using every launch as what I consider this personal redemption, it's like this arc she has. But to be honest, that's not her style. I mean, I believe Meghan wants to be center stage. Judging from her actions in the past, judging from her actions now, she wants to be center stage. That's what it seems, always. And in branding, that almost always backfires. So if you ask me, this brand isn't going anywhere because it was never rooted in passion, purpose, or product. It was rooted in Meghan, in image rehab, in narrative control. And the public has already said, we're not buying it. Most of the public. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening to me and my cat. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree? Do you think that this business was never really about the product or the customer, but more about rehabilitating her image? Let me know. Agree or disagree? Let me know. Thank you for listening and see you in the next one. Bye.